the grounding exercises that my therapist taught me, how come it's not helping anymore? That's because your anxiety, the symptoms that you're experiencing, they're not the problem here. It's what causes the anxiety in the first place.
Kanji, what is chronic anxiety?
Chronic anxiety is anxiety that persists for a very long time. It's different from the normal anxiety, the anxiety that everyone would feel at some point of their life. With normal anxiety, it's more of situation specific. For example, I have a work presentation tomorrow. I feel anxious tonight. And then after the presentation, it goes away. But with chronic anxiety, the anxiety most of the time doesn't go away, even though the specific threat or the specific situation that triggers anxiety has already passed. So that will look like I have a work presentation tomorrow. I feel anxious tonight. After the presentation, then your mind starts picking out a different thing to worry about. Oh God, how did I do just now? I feel like I didn't do well. Someone frowned just now as I was doing my presentation. I think I left a bad impression. I don't think my boss liked my presentation. I think I might lose my job soon. I might get reprimanded doing the monthly review towards the end of the month. So it's very, very excessive and there's no way to turn it off. So that's the thinking part, the cognitive part of chronic anxiety. So if you imagine this is the state that this person is in all the time, what they're going to feel instead is people with chronic anxiety, they often complain that they live in their head. Oh my God, all day, all I can think of is worry and worry and worry about different things. And then it affects their functioning. Sometimes they find it hard to breathe. They have chest pain. They feel nauseous. They have dizziness. And it happens throughout the day. And sometimes at night, it affects their sleep. Some people, they can sleep, but the next day when they wake up, immediately they feel the anxiety again. I think a lot of people still do not know that they're actually experiencing anxiety attacks. I've had many people, friends, families, come to me not knowing what's going on with them. They could be getting ready to sleep and all of a sudden they feel something in their chest or in their throat. And then their palms start becoming very sweaty. They feel heart palpitations. They feel like they're going to die. And I also experienced this when I was at a young age, when I was in high school. I was under a lot of academic pressure, but I didn't know. I know I was stressed out. I didn't know the toll it took on my body every single day. I think for about 3 to 4 months, I would wake up and immediately I felt that I couldn't breathe. My chest just hurt so much. And I feel very, very nauseous. I feel very sick. But I didn't know what was going on with me. I didn't know there was anxiety attacks. So I kept telling my parents there's something wrong with me. And they also panicked because they had no idea what is an anxiety attack. So I was sent to the emergency department for about 3 times. I also thought my asthma relapsed because I had asthma when I was young.
Yep.
I was like, oh God, what's going on? So I was given medication for asthma just to see if it works. It doesn't work. I went to the emergency department. They checked my heart rate. They checked my pulse. Everything was normal. So all the doctors came to the same conclusion that, kid, I think you are stressed out. But I wasn't given any psychoeducation on what could be going on, what is anxiety, how does it affect me. So I just kept experiencing that these few months until I finished my exam. And then they just stopped. Then I was like, oh, okay. All good now, I guess. But then once I entered uni, I started my foundation, I was doing my degree, and then my master's. It's not as bad as when I was in high school. I think I had a bit of awareness already on how stress would affect me. So I try to manage it better. I'm not as scared towards these episodes as well. But once I started uni, I started experiencing them again. Not as severe, but not as frequent.
Anxiety can be a really unpleasant state to be in. And the worst part of it is like it creeps in, and when it comes in, I don't feel like I have a control over it. It can get really overwhelmed and really exhausting to deal with. Like, I keep on wanting to just avoid feeling this unpleasant feeling,
Yes.
right? So how anxiety really show up for some people?
So I mentioned a lot of bodily sensations right just now, but it can also manifest in very, very different ways. For example, there's someone who overplanned every day. They plan their day, they plan their schedule by the day, by the hour to make sure that nothing goes wrong, make sure that everything is in control. Another very common manifestation of chronic anxiety that I see is perfectionism. People who have anxiety, a lot of time they're very, very scared of making mistakes. So they live their life being very careful or cautious every day, extra cautious, make sure that everything they do is right. They're producing quality work all the time and they don't allow themselves to make mistakes. Even listening to that is anxiety provoking, right? How do you live by your day not allowing yourself to make any mistakes? That's crazy. Let's say in a social setting, how can chronic anxiety look like? This person may have fear of people not liking him or her. So they will try their best to mold themselves into different people's needs, how people their likes and dislikes. So when in a social setting, all they think of is this the right thing to say? Oh God, I feel like I shouldn't have said that. I think that person is being offended right now. I don't think the person likes me anymore. I don't want to be friends with this person anymore. Because I don't think they still like me. I think I made a mistake. Just a lot of overthinking, which then leads to a lot of people pleasing in social settings.
That is where the parts that come in, because chronic anxiety, from the sound of it, right? People may actually describe them as you are like a warrior, you are like an over planner, you think too much. They put it in a way as though like this is your character. But in fact, this is chronic anxiety.
I think it's an illness. So it can really hurt you, when, especially for my clients, when they hear people telling them, you're thinking too much. Don't think too much. They don't have a choice, people with chronic anxiety. It's not that they consciously want to think so much. It's that their brain constantly sense danger and put themselves in this survival state that they have to keep thinking and planning and problem solving.
So why am I feeling so anxious all the time?
That's a common question with people with chronic anxiety.
It's like, why am I the one like this? But my other friends, my other family members, they seem so chill and so calm. What I thought is that because somehow your body learned that being calm or being at rest, taking a break, is not safe. My brain somehow just tells me that you cannot be at rest like this at the moment now. You have to keep moving, keep on bracing, just in case, as though like something bad could happen if I take a break now.
Definitely. There could be many reasons why a person come to adopt this belief. Children who grow up with very emotionally unstable parents or narcissistic parents, they're constantly walking on eggshells around their parents. They have to tiptoe around their parents. That would look like thinking every day, what is the right thing to say? What is the right thing to do? What to not do today? What to do tomorrow? Just so that their parents don't get angry at them, so that they don't get another round of beatings. So these children, they grow up in a survival mode. They don't know how to be calm. All they know is that they have to strategize, they have to think for their own safety, for their own emotional and physical safety. But when they don't do that, they might accidentally say the wrong thing, do the wrong thing, and then their parents get angry. So then that directly enforces the idea that calm, not thinking, not planning, not strategizing means that something is going to go wrong. And then they just carry this. It become a habit already. And carry this into adulthood. And it applies to when you're with your friends. You have to be careful with what you say. If not, they might get angry. At work, you have to be careful how you deal with people, because if not, your colleague might get angry at you. People might not have a good impression on you.
I just never learned what feel safe actually looks like.
Yes. Feel safe to them look like thinking, problem solving, keep going forward, right? Yes.
Making sure that everything is right.
Yes, I have to do a lot of things. That is what feel safe look like. I have to control a lot of things. That is what feel safe look like.
Somehow, it serves to protect you. It is trying to protect you from going into anything that could perceive as dangerous.
A lot of people may find it difficult to accept this, that anxiety is good. They're inherently good. They make you go crazy. They absolutely do not make you feel good, but their purpose is good.
So make sure that you can survive through it.
Yes, but people with chronic anxiety, you can say it this way, you have overprotective brain. So it's no longer balanced. Rather than seeing threat as threat, something that is safe as something that is safe, your brain starts thinking everything, almost everything, as a threat. Becomes overprotective. This is threat. I have to avoid this. I have to hide. I don't want this.
Yes.
Which is why you're constantly in a state of heightened arousal. Then you feel chronic anxiety.
It's like the fire alarm that goes off even though there's no fire being detected.
Yes. And then you may, when the fire alarm goes off, you may take a look, there's no smoke. Like you just try to turn it off, but you can't. Once it's triggered,
Yes.
what people with chronic anxiety notice is it's very hard to turn them off. Even when, let's say after a few days or few weeks, they may actually still feel that residual anxiety. So it's like a toxic relationship with your anxiety. You know it's causing you a lot of pain and suffering, but at the same time, your brain keeps feeding you the idea that you need the anxiety. You need to be so careful. If not, something really bad is going to happen to you.
Because just now you mentioned about understanding our upbringing, which is something that we actually do in our practice with our clients. We'll try to help them to understand why your anxiety is protecting you too much right now. After a few sessions, when they started to have that insight, looking into how their past actually shaped them, particularly it caused or contribute to them having chronic anxiety. One day they come in and broke down into tears. Tell me that the day I scroll through the TikTok videos, they say that if we were to talk about the past, it's that I am having a victim mentality, that you are a victim. You shouldn't look into your past. You should be in the present, because now that you are in charge in your present, so you own your life. So stop talking about the past and stop being a victim. How do you see this actually? And is it really they're having a victim mentality?
Of course, no. Having a victim mentality is like, let's say I don't perform at work because I was just too anxious. I kept having panic attacks. And then me knowing this, saying that it's because I'm anxious all the time. It's not my problem. It's because my parents made me this way. What do you want me to do? You can't fire me. That's not my fault. It's my parents that made me this way. You should empathize with me. You should sympathize me. That is victim mentality, in my opinion.
Is that you're justifying your actions or inactions, and even worse, blaming on other people.
Yes, and then refusing to change. I can't do anything about it. I'm just like this because I grew up like this. That's it. Yeah.
Okay, so that is like a victim mentality.
Yes, in my opinion.
How is it different from like the part that we talk about understanding and exploring your past? What is that for actually?
A lot of times we want to look at the past just because we want to build an awareness towards your interactional pattern, your cognitive pattern. We just want you to understand, for example, why you're easily triggered. Why do you always sense threat whenever you're talking to a colleague or being reprimanded by your boss. Because once you understand that, only then can you start acting differently. A lot of times, those videos, I believe, they're just trying to push for change. You know you're too anxious, you know you overthink, then just stop doing that. Just change. Don't do that. But it's simply not that. It's really not that simple, right? We can't just tell ourselves, oh, I'm overthinking, I shouldn't do that anymore. Then the next day, I'm all good now. Yay, no more chronic anxiety. It simply doesn't work that way. I think healing, a lot of time, what people think is, there's no point thinking that I am a victim, just move forward. But true healing to me is really acknowledging that you are a victim, but how can I do better? How can I move forward from here?
So now, what can I do about it?
A lot of people have the idea that as long as I practice this, as long as I have the skills or techniques, then I can be better. I can manage my anxiety. And it's also very common, right, in therapy rooms when you experience anxiety, the therapist would prescribe you of deep breathing, grounding exercises, get enough sleep, go to a park, be near to nature. I don't think these techniques are baseless. I think they have their purpose. For example, research shows that when you're having anxiety, when your body is under a lot of stress, deep breathing actually help with soothing you, calming you down. But that works really well for people who have situational or normal anxiety. People with chronic anxiety, a lot of times, they practice these things. Maybe it works in the beginning for a few times. But what they notice is it somehow seems to stop working sooner or later. And then they will be like, oh God, I'm doing the breathing the right way. I've been meditating. I've been doing all the grounding exercises that my therapist taught me. How come it's not helping anymore? That's because your anxiety, the symptoms that you're experiencing, they're not the problem here. It's what causes the anxiety in the first place. So you can understand anxiety as a lack of sense of safety, a constant lack of sense of safety that you're feeling. So if this is the core here, a very good start would be rebuilding your body's relationship towards the environment, meaning teaching your body how to reassess all the things that you used to see as a threat.
It's true, it makes perfect sense actually, because if you're just simply doing the technique, of course, it helps by short-lived, temporarily, but over the long run, what your body needs is that, especially when they come into this state, they say that, oh, I'm practicing this, why it's not working right now? Why am I still, not getting everything under control? Why am I still freaking out? What you are actually conveying or even telling your mind and your body is that, stop doing that.
It's like,
Don't do this.
You keep hitting yourself, like beating yourself up.
Yes, keep on monitoring my body, and my body will be under stress regarding these situations. And it's like, I'm shaming my body.
Yes. If a kid is feeling very unsafe right now, a baby is feeling very unsafe and it's crying out for help right now, we wouldn't go and hit the baby and just tell the baby to stop acting this way. Some people probably do, but but the point is, it doesn't help.
Yeah.
They're going to feel even more unsafe. They're going to feel even more scared.
Yes, I'm just trying to suppress and control. So then that defeats the purpose of those tools or techniques that you have learned from therapists or online, right?
Yes. Because a lot of people, they practice deep breathing, but the mindset is, okay, I'm doing it now. The anxiety should go away soon. But the moment it doesn't go away, then they get into this frantic mode. Hey, how come? Like, I'm doing the right thing already. Can you just go away already? I keep doing deep breathing already. Go away.
It's true.
Right. So to soothe the baby, you pat the baby, you're very gentle with the baby, right? For the baby to feel safe again, to stop crying. You should do the same to yourself. I mean, in adult term, or in therapy term, we call that being compassionate towards your anxiety. That's the first step.
Yeah, not to attack it. So it's to understand the first step in what we so call regulations. It's not doing something to fix yourself, to fix this anxiety, but it's about approaching your anxiety with curiosity.
Yes.
Not control.
Yes. So how do you approach a toddler, a baby, or a child that's crying? You go and like do this, right? You pat them and then you ask, oh no, what's going on? How come you're crying? Then that is how you approach your own anxiety. Do the same thing to yourself. You want to pat yourself, you don't want to, that is fine. But ask yourself, oh no, what's going on now? What's causing this anxiety? Be curious about it.
Yes. So that's the first step that we mentioned, regulations. Then some people with chronic anxiety will come to this state. Okay, I know what are some of the ways that I could do to manage and cope with it better. And now I also understand my anxiety, but I just can't seem to change it. So what do we do now?
To heal from anxiety, I think we have to retrain our brain to make more accurate assessment of the environment. What is truly safe? What is an actual threat? And how do we do that? First, that will look a lot like interrupting the patterns in your brain. So there are a lot of automatic habitual patterns that have been established in your brain throughout the years. For example, the moment you're in a social setting, you feel like people don't like you. When I'm driving, I feel like I'm going to get into an accident and die. These very automatic thoughts, automatic patterns, we have to disrupt them. And the best way to disrupt these patterns would be to expose yourself to these situations still, and then witnessing for yourself how the thing you're afraid of is not happening. Because then you tell your brain, you told me this just now, but it's not what's happening. Then the more this happens, the more this exposure happens, the more your brain will lean onto the new pattern, the new learning here that when I'm in a social setting, people don't necessarily get mad at me. When I start driving, I don't necessarily get into an accident or get killed.
Right? Meaning getting ourselves exposed to the situation that used to trigger you, that it triggered to get you into that survivor mode.
Yes. I think basically just allowing yourself to just experience life and then keep reassessing, oh, did a bad thing happen? Or did I die? Am I a failure to the society right now? So if we talk about exposure, now for people who fear making mistakes at work or in school every day, exposure would actually look like allowing yourself to make mistakes. And then you witness for yourself this time how you can make mistakes. You don't necessarily have to be the worst person in the world. Once you make mistakes, you can actually get back up from mistakes. People, they may judge you, and then but you're also telling your brain that I don't die from people's judgment. I can live with people's judgment.
I can imagine that if it's in a relationship context, it's like, let's say if I need to constantly text my boyfriend to make sure that he is loyal to me, that he is not cheating on me, maybe I can actually text him less and to learn that, at the end of the day, it seems fine.
Yeah, when he comes back home, he still asks me, where do we want to have dinner? And then we still cuddle at night. Oh, yeah. He still loved me even though he took 5 more minutes to reply my text today.
Yeah, sometimes I don't really need to say yes to everything, to all the requests, all the demands. I could just say, sorry, I can't make it for this time. And to really test it out, experiment. Actually, people maybe don't get upset. There's no negative reactions from them. And then I learned that, actually, it's okay for me to say no.
I mean, us putting it this way now, it sounds simple. Like we just have to do the opposite of what our fear tells us. But if this is what you're looking to put yourself into, exposure to interrupt the brain patterns that have been established all this while, I think we also have to put an expectation that it's gonna be really hard, because once this protective mechanism, survival mode, is being triggered, it's not that there's a rational part of, a lot of time, there's no rational part of you that could think that, my brain is being irrational right now. I'm not in any sort of danger right now. A lot of time you actually believe what your brain tells you. So when we're doing exposure, it's like working against what your brain actually believes. And that's going to be really, really tough. The 5 minutes as you're waiting for your boyfriend's reply, you have to be prepared that you will actually feel that it's the worst thing in your life. Your boyfriend doesn't love you anymore. You're going to break up. You're going to be single forever. You have to sit through these thoughts.
Without doing anything.
Yes, that is the point of exposure. To just not do anything and sit with it.
Oh, I can tell like it's going to be so triggering.
It's very difficult,
It could be
right?
like even more anxious for me to be in this state.
Yes.
Right? Because it's like you're telling me that I cannot do what I thought I needed to do to survive, to make sure or to prevent things from happening.
That's why a lot of people, they give up. It's not because they're too weak. It's just, it really is a very, very difficult process.
Yes, yeah. But then this mechanism, although for the beginning state especially, these create probably even heightened or even more anxiety and stress to you, because now you are forced to do something or even not to do something that you thought supposed to actually secure you. But over time, this actually helps your body to learn that actually it's fine, because with the repeated experiences that you might get is nothing bad actually happened. So that it is okay for me to not always go into this overcompensatory or even avoidant behavior.
Yes. So given how difficult and tough it's gonna be, my advice would be to start really, really small. To give a few examples, people who have chronic anxiety, they like to plan their schedule every day, and they make sure they follow through. Start by the smallest thing possible. You could, let's say, give up nighttime. So I still plan. I plan my day, my afternoon, but I let go of nighttime.
Especially those that you feel like even if it goes wrong, it's still okay for me to bear the cost.
Something which is more acceptable. Maybe because you don't work at night, you don't have to plan so meticulously. Let that go. Then you may feel a bit of discomfort, but it won't be too much. The point of exposure is always to choose something that is challenging enough for you, but not too much that would put your brain back to this protective mode that you would do what is feeding your anxiety again.
So it's a gradual exposure, step by step. Sometimes we even take baby steps. We don't expect you to just change everything at one go. You don't really have to do that. And to know that even through this process, sometimes it can be back and forth.
Yes, definitely. You may let go of something. For example, let me try to say no to one of my colleagues today when they asked me out for lunch because I don't want to, because I brought my lunch.
Yeah.
And then you did that. And then nothing happened. Your fear definitely wouldn't go away immediately. You will still feel like, oh, let me judge if it's safe. It seems like it's okay. But the next week, maybe a different colleague. Now this is it's a colleague that's harder to deal with. Then immediately your brain asks you to say, oh sure, let's go. I'm sure we will have a good time together. Don't feel disappointed because of that. That is just part of the process. When that happens, think of it, rather than thinking that you're back to square one, think of it this way. So throughout my life, 20 years of time, I've never said no once. But in the past 2 weeks, I've said it once. That's still progress, right?
Oh, that's commendable.
Yes. I mean, we're not saying this to make you feel better. I mean, the point is that so that you don't feel as disappointed with yourself, but that is the truth, you know.
Yeah, it is. So Kwan Jie, after a period of time, learning to regulate my anxiety when it comes, rewired my anxiety related patterns. Some people then will get into this state. If I'm no longer that anxious, or that I am no longer just surviving, just trying to achieve. So what do I do now? What's life going to be like moving forward?
Because they're not used to the idea of being calm, right? This actually happens in therapy. When anxiety seems to reduce, they get anxiety from the anxiety reducing as well because it feels so unfamiliar to them. I mean, logically, it sounds like the right thing, your anxiety reducing. But you have to remember people with chronic anxiety, they have lived in this state of anxiety for so long that they absolutely have no idea of what the other world looks like. So then when they're calm, they'll be like, what do I do now? For example, when they allow themselves to rest, for people who always just want to work and work and work, when they're resting.
I feel empty.
Yes. Or they feel like something is going to go wrong again. Like,
is this actually okay to live like this?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, so
some may actually find it even meaningless then.
Yes, because their meaning in life all this while is surviving. Now, it doesn't seem like they're actively trying to survive. They lost the meaning of their life, almost like their identity as well.
So sometimes they might actually get into this situation now, who am I right now?
Yes. I had a client that told me before, he told me, like, you have to understand you're taking away a part of me that has been with me, even though it's not serving me, it's harming me. He acknowledges that. But you're taking this away. It's like you're uprooting the entire tree that is me, and you leave me with nothing. How do I live? I don't know how to live the other way.
How do you respond to that? And what are we going to do with this void?
It's so Sarah, like the regulating and then the exposure. You're still not done yet. It's like really like a seemingly never-ending battle. Now, us putting this out here, of course, awareness is important so that it doesn't scare you when you reach that state. It's probably a good thing when you reach that state, but also be prepared that this might happen. You're going to be scared. You're going to be like, what the hell is going on? I'm not used to this. Be prepared for that. But also, as you experiencing that, your body will try to persuade you otherwise. Go back to work, then you will feel better. Go back to hustling, then you will feel better. But no, don't do that. Take your time to reconnect with yourself. You know how anxiety takes control of you. You just listen to your anxiety over the while. You no longer know what is your needs, what makes you happy, what is your true identity outside of this anxiety. So I would say when you reach this state, take your time to learn about yourself. Okay, I'm not working today. I have nothing to do. What would make me happy? Do I go out for a walk? I don't know. You have to keep trying. Keep looking for what would calm me like.
Or that like what can I do now to feel more alive?
Yes. And then keep asking yourself this question, who am I outside of this anxiety? Because it used to be so overwhelming, so crippling all the time, right? You actually forget who you are outside of anxiety.
Because I don't know, ma. Like if I'm not anxious, then what would I be doing?
Yes. So accept that, be aware of that, and then actually start relearning. Do whatever you want, try things out.
Yes.
You also don't know who you are outside of anxiety. So the only way is for you to explore. But exploring is exploring. Exploring doesn't mean that you're going back to the old pattern.
Wow, very difficult to define that line though.
So, no, like it will look something like this. Like exploring means go and try out things. Go and do things that you don't normally do.
Right, maybe I could be Oh, when I'm not anxious, I would love just enjoying a quiet time reading a book.
Yes. Or I want to hang out with people that I cherish. Because back then, my anxiety might be telling me that everyone hates you. They don't like me. Hide yourself, isolate yourself. Maybe refinding your identity would be realizing that you're actually a person that cherishes connections a lot. So you exploring what are the new connections that you can make. When you allow yourself to reconnect with yourself, with your body, you're also reconnecting with other people actually, because you realize that you're suddenly more present in social settings. You no longer, you say things that you want, you listen to things as it is, you don't overanalyze in your brain, you don't filter out a bunch of stuff before you actually say something. And that really makes it much easier for you to be connected with someone, you know?
Yes, definitely. Because it's about knowing that, well, although now we've been emphasized a lot about, okay, individual work, but we are not an isolated island. We are always in a community. You're always surrounded by people. So then allowing yourself to connect with yourself, then also allowing yourself to be finally able to connect with other people.
Yes, not just people, it's like the environment generally.
Yes.
You suddenly realize that, oh God, like, oh, this is how a tree look like. This is how my neighborhood look like. Now you clear that anxiety reduce, you have space to appreciate these things already. And all these taken together, reconnecting with yourself, other people, the environment, imagine that's gonna make your life full of purpose and meaning. Because life is beautiful now. Life is slow. I can stop and look at life properly now. I don't have to constantly be pulled around by my thoughts.
So, will I ever be normal again? If I follow these steps?
What is normal?
I don't know. No, normal means like how my friends normally live.
Like people
It's as though that they have no
around
fear, no
me.
anxiety. They're just so courageous. They're like so confident in doing everything.
I think people with chronic anxiety, they have to accept that they will always be more emotionally sensitive than people around them. They will always be more vulnerable to being triggered. Their normal and your normal may look very different. So I find it a bit hard to answer this question. You shouldn't go through healing, go through all these steps, chasing after becoming like the rest of the people around you, because the starting point is already different. But to recover from it, your normal, how would it look like? I believe it would look like you having power over your anxiety. Sure, maybe you're not 100% emotionally sensitive all the time. It may be reduced to a 90%, 80%, but it doesn't affect you as much anymore. It doesn't get in the way of you functioning in daily life. But you also have to accept that you will still feel anxiety a lot of times, and even more than other people. But you learn how to live with it. You learn how to not let it let it tackle you down.
So sad.
It's not fair, lah.
As sad that as it may sound, because you're telling me that this anxiety that I've been struggling my entire life cannot be cured. But what it would be different is that after going through these extensive efforts that I'm going to put in to learn managing it, my healing is not to be the same as other people, but it's about becoming maybe a new version of myself that I didn't know that I could have been if I'm still letting this anxiety control me. We don't know what is that. One thing for sure is that you will be able to live a life that is fulfilling, which is how other people can do the same as well. please hear this. Your anxiety is not a character flaw, and it's definitely not a weakness. It's just your body, it's saying, I've been trying to protect you for a really long time. You are certainly not broken. And throughout this healing journey, it may be slow, but you are definitely going somewhere to become the new versions that you never thought that you would be without this anxiety.
For me, I just want to say that it's definitely not gonna be an easy process. Throughout this process, again and again, you might actually have the thought that I think there's no point, it's hopeless, I'm forever gonna be like this. I hope listening to this podcast today teach you one thing or two and normalize certain things for you. And of course, I think there are still a lot of nuances that we can go into about anxiety. So talk to us, ask us questions if there's anything that you wish to clarify. Thank you for listening.
See you next time.